Yonah Budd, what's happening?
I don't know, man. It's just so great to be here with you today, and it's hard to believe that this is like what a real cop does.
Well, a real cop who does a lot of social media. And
Clearly.
I don't know if I get to be like, this isn't real cop regular duty, but it is all about education and talking to people. So that's what it's turned into my job.
Yeah, like 500,000 followers and better. So I would say whatever you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
So
yeah.
A+ from the broadcaster side.
And for anyone watching and doesn't know who Yonah is, you're on, well, you do a bunch of different things, so maybe you should do the whole resume thing rather than me trying to do it justice.
Okay, so I'm the clinical director and the co-founder of The Farm in Stouffville, which is a residential care center for people with mental health and addiction issues. I'm also the co-founder and clinical director of Recover at Home, which is a Recover at Home program, virtual care program, which is highly successful. And as you know, I'm a broadcaster on 640 Radio. We have a show called Road to Recovery, which is how you and I met up.
Yeah.
And, I work with kids and guns and gangs and all that stuff, so I'm a busy guy.
And so the first show I was on, because I've been on your show twice. The first time we talked about, it was all about stunt driving.
Exactly.
And what the new laws were, because a lot of your viewers and people in general in Ontario don't know that as of September 21st, 2021, September 12th, 2021, the laws changed, and now you can get a stunt driving ticket a little bit easier, and the consequences are a little more serious in that you lose your vehicle for 30 days, you lose your license, apparently I don't remember either. You lose your vehicle for 14 days, you lose your license for 30 days, and it's easier to do because you can now get stunt driving for doing 40 over in any road that has a speed limit under 80 kilometers an hour.
Wow.
So there's been confusion because it used to be you have to go 50 over.
Right.
And there's a whole bunch of other ways you can also get stunt driving charges, but it's a lot of confusion. And now you can get stunt driving charges on private property. So if someone were to do stunting on even in the show,
which we saw at some point this year, we saw parking lots where they were spinning and burning and
take over Toronto's a thing. And then we talked about how we got into social media and what we did, but you had a great idea. You suggested, I thought it was great, talking about road rage and emotions when you're driving, and I don't think people give enough credit to how much about driving is about you and how you feel and how that translates onto your behavior on the road.
So we know, we've done psychological studies. I've worked with lots of patients over the years that have issues related to driving impaired, either through drugs or alcohol, both. And it's different when you're talking about road rage because the concept of rage suggests that a person is kind of out of their mind, so to speak, at that particular time. And thinking in such an angry way behind how many thousands of pound vehicle is akin to carrying around a loaded weapon and being pissed off at your neighbor. So I think what's important is that people have to understand that when you show that kind of anger towards other drivers, towards people that are not moving as fast or changing a lane, first of all, you're not the judge. It's not your job to be out there being traffic cop. That's what you guys do. And number two, when you show that kind of rage, number one, if you've got passengers like your children, for example, they're going to learn that kind of rage too. Number two, other neighboring vehicles are going to see that as someone looking to attack me. So whether it's a car, a knife, a gun, a shotgun, a lighter fluid these days and a lighter, that sense of rage and anger is something that people need help with. Well, and there's therapies around that type of anger management.
So I like that. What is anger management? Finding ways to cope with the stressors on the road,
of course,
so that you don't then turn around and behave in such a way that you're putting other lives at risk, your own life at risk, or doing something that's going to get you charged and in trouble with the law.
Sure, because what happens is you get caught up in the rage moment, and rage is one of those manifestations of unsettled mental health, whether it's for the moment or longer term. And when you're in that rage mode, you're not thinking clearly. So you're not making rational choices. You're not looking at the possibilities, the outcome of your actions, and moreover, you're not considerate for others that are on the road. All you think about is your rage and how dare they do that or how dare they do that, something along those lines. So when you're in that rage mode, it's impossible to be logical. So it's being able to manage that anger before you get to rage.
And rage doesn't, that sounds like a way down the road, and a lot of people don't or may not acknowledge themselves being in a rage kind of feeling. If you're so angry, and a lot of people say I get angry when people do something to me or they cut me off that makes me angry. Is that rage or is that somewhere in between? And when do you truly call it rage?
when your anger is out of control.
When you're no longer making rational decisions.
When it's no longer about your anger, and it's more about taking out your anger on others. So as that rage builds, your desire to cause harm, your desire to get your point across, your desire to show that you're superior on the road is overtaken, is now caught up in your rage moment. It's not logical thinking, right? You got 2 little kids in the back, or your wife, or your buddies, or whatever. Clearly, maybe a box of beer because you're on your way to the cottage. You know, if you think about that, it's not a smart time to be acting out on a highway, especially today with the kind of laws that we have.
Yeah. So, how do you take that couple of steps back?
Good
how
point.
do you allow that to pass?
Okay, so let's just take a scenario where someone cuts you off on the highway. Okay, it's the typical one where they jump in front of you, and it happens to everybody. Happens to me all the time. So now you have to see that as not an affront to you. So the first thing you have to identify is this is not about you. This is about that driver and whatever they're dealing with. So if you engage in the interaction with that other driver, either by vehicle or throwing a finger up or whatever, if you engage in any way, now you're driven into their rage. You don't want to do that. You want to just what I do is tap my brake and back off, catch my breath,
Let it go.
just chill, let it go. You know, unless you're out here at the Indy, you don't have to be the fastest car on the road.
There's no prize.
And frankly, when in today's day and age, there are so many angry people on the road that you literally take your life in your hands because you don't know if someone else is in an anger rage mode and has a weapon of some sort, or is prepared to write off their $3,000 Hyundai, and run you off the road.
It's funny you mentioned that. I remember stories about in the United States, someone who took a license, what do you call it, a parking spot,
Yeah,
and ended up
absolutely.
resulting in a shooting.
Right, so rage comes in a lot of ways, right? So we're talking about road rage in terms of moving traffic. There's parking lot rage we see all the time where that's my spot, no, that's my spot. I've seen people block a spot so no one can get in and just sit there for half an hour. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't have a half an hour in my day to waste doing that. It's this desire to be right. And for the most part, people that express that and show that kind of manifest as anger typically are carrying anger from other things. So if you're on your way home from work and you're just in an angry moment, you had an argument with your boss, you had a lousy day at work, that rage comes with you in the car. If you're leaving the house and you had a war with your wife or your husband, either way, or your kids, that rage carries you, that anger carries with you on the way to work. So what's important is as we get angry, we strip that anger before our next motion, our next movement.
I was going to say, how do you compartmentalize or say, you know what, I know I'm angry, I know I'm upset, maybe I shouldn't drive, or if I really have to drive, how do I put that in the pocket and leave it for later?
So what I tell people is find the softest, most soothing music you can, or a podcast or something. Number one, have a snack in the car. Make sure you're snacking on some food, have something to drink. If you're a smoker, smoke. Do things that you can
Comfort you.
That comfort you, exactly. Slow down.
Is that like the woo-saw from our the movie and the Bad Boys?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. No, I mean, listen. When you're comforted, we're comforted by food, snack foods. Certainly, I am. You can tell. But it's distracted. Distracted thinking, distract your emotions. This is not my fight. There's just a couple of idiots. Look at these morons driving like that. They're going to clearly get in an accident somewhere. I'm going to stay backwards. And that's the other thing. You have to look at your safety. Your safety should be the first thing that drives your behavior.
A lot of people, though, they see someone cutting them off, they see them as the aggressor. They see them as, and now they're reacting it. They don't take a lot of, I think, acknowledgement of the fact that they are now also in that they're sucked into that situation.
And that's the thing. It's making sure that you step back so you don't get sucked into the vortex that they're creating of negative behavior, because that's going to lead to two people in a negative mindset in vehicles that are worth thousands, carry thousands and thousands of pounds. There's someone's going to get hurt.
And exactly that.
And is it worth it because he cut you off and he's going 15 kilometers faster than you? Does it really matter?
When we talk about someone who's actually just pushing you, riding up, cutting you off, creating more than something simple as a trigger for you, because there's a difference between someone triggering an emotional response from you that you then carry forward that, had you not engaged, would have just gone on to bother somebody else.
And then there's those that track you. I've been in that situation.
And in that time, as a police officer, I got to tell you that you need to, if you think you're in danger, you need to call police
immediately.
And that's because you don't want to be escalating things by engaging with another finger back and forth, or if you're in fear and there's problems coming, call police or drive to a police station. Get off the route. You want to be safe about what you're doing and try and stay calm, but don't ante up. Don't bring it to the next level by giving into that and being angry yourself.
Yeah, and anger can be shown in ways with hand gestures, rolling down your window, yelling at people, tapping on your brakes so maybe they'll bump into you, which is like the stupidest thing in the world. You got to just slow it down. Safety first. Don't get caught up into someone else's nightmare, and you're on the road to get somewhere. So any interruption of getting somewhere, like being pulled over by police or ending up in emergency, right?
Yeah.
God forbid, or in a collision, a reporting center, just going to slow your whole thing down. So you're not going to get to where you want to get to when you want to get there.
Well, a lot of people get into these situations because they're driving the speed limit. This is a common problem because everyone seems to want to speed these days, and we, of course, want you to do the speed limit or less.
Right.
So if you're doing the speed limit and someone wants you to they want to go faster, they want you out of their way.
Let them go.
Let them go. Get out of their way. Move over. It's not worth it. You're doing the right thing. Know that you're doing the right thing. Let them do the wrong thing in somebody else's rearview mirror. Just get out of it. Let them get
Or
away
if
from you.
you're in a parking lot, let them take the spot. There's other spots, right? Or if they're in line up at a Walmart, just let them go.
Well, there's people waiting for you. There's people that are important to you, and you're important to them. You need to get home, arrive alive. You know what? We got a race starting, so it's probably a good time to cut it off.
Great to be here. And it's awesome to be on this Harley, by the way.
Well,
it's about the closest thing I'm ever going to get to riding one.
We need to get a sidecar for you. We'll go for a ride.
I hardly got on it, so
that sounds terrible.
Anyway, thank you so much for having me. I hope we've managed
Thank you very much.
Share some good information.
We'll do this again.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Okay.